A newer local model can be the better tool without being the faster one. And that trade-off matters most when an agent is doing real work for you. Qwen 3.8 is the new checkpoint in this comparison, while Qwen 3.6 is the familiar baseline many local users already know. Both target the same 27 billion parameter class, yet their published results point toward a much bigger difference in coding agents and computer use. The question is not whether the newer release wins a brochure comparison. The useful question is whether stronger agent behavior is worth giving up a little local decode speed on the machine you actually run. Both models use the same dense 27 billion parameter scale and the same 64-layer hybrid design, so this is not a bigger model versus smaller model story. The public configurations show matching hidden size and attention layout, plus the same vision encoder and native 262,000 token context, making this primarily a checkpoint and post-training comparison. For the local run, both 4-bit IQ4 NL files used the same llama. CPP argument shape on a Ryzen 7 system with an RTX 4070 Ti Super. Flash attention was on, and the context limit was 98,304 tokens. Each model completed 11 requests, with 256 generated tokens per request. The capability evidence comes from Qwen's official model card scorecard, rather than this local timing run. Across all 20 supplied comparisons, Qwen 3.8 scores higher, yet the meaningful pattern is concentration rather than a tiny improvement everywhere. Coding agents offer the clearest example as Qwen SWI moves from 49.3 to 79. Deep SWI 1.1 rises from 13.3 to 42.2, while Terminal Bench improves from 63.4 to 73. Together, they give the release a consistently stronger published case for terminal and repository work. Computer use is the other major jump, as OS World Verified rises by 20.4 points. Web Arena Verified gains 16 points, and Vision to Web gains 17.9. Those results do not guarantee an identical gain in every local agent stack, though they make Qwen 3.8 the more compelling capability bet for browser and desktop workflows. The broader scorecard is not merely an agent benchmark story, because IF Bench improves by 10.4 points, and Live Code Bench improves by 6.4. More general reasoning gains are smaller, but still positive. The published evidence suggests a targeted upgrade with its largest upside in work that requires many reliable actions, rather than one isolated answer. Across the full workload, Qwen 3.8 generated at 5.83 tokens per second on a token-weighted basis. Qwen 3.6 reached 5.96. The simpler average shows nearly the same result at 6.61 against 6.71 tokens per second. That gap is small enough that it should not scare anyone away from the new model by itself. It is still directionally consistent because Qwen 3.8 was slower on every paired decode measurement, which means this machine did not turn the newer checkpoint into a free performance upgrade. Prompt processing is much less dramatic because the token-weighted rates were 622.45 and 623.74 tokens per second. That is effectively a tie in this single run, so workloads dominated by a large prompt have no meaningful prompt speed winner. Decode speed becomes more interesting as context grows, with Qwen 3.8 only about 0.9% behind on short prompts, but 2.8% behind on long prompts. At roughly 77,000 tokens, it generated 2.21 tokens per second against 2.32 for Qwen 3.6. That longest context result is an observation rather than proof of a new architectural regression. Both models slowed sharply as the prompt expanded, but the newer checkpoint lost more decode speed in this particular partial offload run. Long context users should treat that as a reason to test their own hardware and runtime, instead of assuming a newer release will behave identically. One quick note on memory, since we covered the mechanics in past videos. Qwen 3.8 has the larger file at 15.22 gigabytes against 14.97, yet both reported 12,106 megabytes. It fit 38 of 66 units, and Qwen 3.6 fit 37 of 65. So memory is a wash, while neither was fully offloaded. The practical choice becomes straightforward if your work centers on coding agents or browser and terminal automation. Qwen 3.8 offers materially stronger published evidence where those tools succeed or fail. A small decode penalty can be worth it when better task completion avoids wasted agent work. If your priority is maximum local tokens per second, Qwen 3.6 remains the safer choice on this exact kind of constrained setup. Its lead is modest rather than dramatic, but it keeps that lead from short prompts through the longest context tested here. There is also a useful middle ground for users who value both. Qwen 3.8 does not punish prompt ingestion in any meaningful way in this run, and its short context decode penalty is under 1%. The trade-off becomes harder only when long generations follow very large contexts, where every extra second is visible. The best fit depends on how much time your workflow spends waiting for each answer versus recovering from a weak one. Faster tokens help every session, yet stronger coding and computer use behavior can matter more when an agent is expected to complete a sequence without supervision. The larger lesson is that local model upgrades should be judged by the work they improve, rather than a single headline metric. Qwen 3.8 keeps the same basic model scale and gives up a little throughput here, while the official results claim far better performance on the agent tasks that increasingly define practical usefulness. For capability-first local users, this looks like a meaningful upgrade rather than a cosmetic refresh. For speed-first users, it is a reminder that the familiar baseline can still be the better fit when throughput is the job. Qwen 3.8 appears to buy stronger coding and computer use, but on this machine it does not buy free local performance.